All right, this is Austin with American Demon Comics. I'm joined with Brandon with Dismay Comics, and we're going to discuss some updates today. And why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Okay. Yeah, so big updates. I have updates with a bunch of stuff, but big updates for stuff that people have seen is like Tales from Town City updates. Like finally I approved the third physical proof maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like I
Right.
went through three proofs. Third proof came. I finally approved that one because like yes, finally. That's what I was looking for. Then a week or two after that, they send the books, but they send all the books, and I'm flipping through, I'm opening up all the packages and stuff, and I'm flipping through, and it's the wrong page type from what I was wanting. But it wasn't the page type that was in the proof, like the paperweight, basically, as well as like, because I wanted the interiors to be number 60 uncoated interior.
Mm-hmm.
They had number 80 gloss text, and that can look good, but with them, it's 50-50. And for this book, one of the like the first proof I think was that, and I was like, no, we got to change the page type
Yeah.
because this I just don't like the way this looks or feels. But yeah, number 60 uncoated I think is perfect. So yeah, that first printing they sent me was the wrong page type. Sent an email like, hey, like, can you fix this? This isn't what I approved in that third printing or that third physical proof. And yeah, I they sent me shipping labels and they shipped the books, which literally the books, like the reprints, came in yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and I shipped the bad batch back to them yesterday. And pretty much last night, I started bagging and boarding all the comics. I looked through them; they look good. Like these reprints look good. So yeah, now I'm just bagging and boarding. I'm like halfway done with that. And then as soon as I'm done bagging and boarding, I'm going to start sending out the digital rewards from the Kickstarter.
So,
And then,
so
oh,
Comics
good.
Wellspring doesn't bag and board them before they send them out?
No, there might be an option where they do that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a little more pricey, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like bagging and boarding isn't too bad.
Yeah, like
Like,
I staple, I saddle stitch my comics myself, um, and it's a tedious, 1 or 2 day project, but um, yeah, I don't mind doing it and to cut some costs and everything. Uh,
yeah, like
but I thought
of the
they did.
no of the printers that I know of, like I know of like at least five or six. I don't think any of them have a bagging and boarding option. And if they do, it came out recently, and it's one of those things. I got a feeling it probably cost a decent bit to bag and board because yes, like bagging and boarding, like boards and bags, don't cost too much. Like at my comic shop, for 100 bags and 100 boards, it's like I don't know, like 20 to 30 bucks maybe.
Hmm.
So you would be paying for that from them, and they might mark it up a little bit. The big thing you'd probably be paying is like the actual labor of it. And
Right.
it doesn't take too long, but like if you have like 300 books or
Yeah.
whatever, it it can take a while. Um, so yeah, and I don't mind
Do
doing
you
bag and
order
board.
the? So you go to the comic shop and get the bag and boards.
Yes, because that's the thing is like I've looked online for bag and boards. Online, it's kind of a premium. It's
Yeah.
like from what I've looked online, it's basically double what I pay at the comic shop.
Well, when I looked into Comics Wellspring for mine, they did have a bag and board option. Uh,
Mm.
but I don't know if they bag and board it and then and send them out themselves, or if they send the bag and boards separately. Maybe that's
That
a
might be what they
option.
do is send the bag and board separately. Um, Because I mean if if they do the bagging and boarding, like They obviously definitely have to charge for the labor. They can't just charge for uh, the materials because
Mm.
it is time consuming bagging and boarding. I'm just checking real quick their website to see if they do it.
Okay. I've got to look at a text real quick. I might cut this out.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, from what I see, they offer like you can buy bagging boards from them, but yeah, I don't think they bag and board them themselves. Let me actually see their prices of their bagging boards. Oh, okay, yeah, that's the bags aren't a bad price. $10 for 100 bags isn't a bad price. That's $2 more than I pay at the comic shop. The issue is, and I've seen this with a bunch of places, not just Comics Wellspring, is the price of their boards. For
Hmm.
100 boards, it's $25. Um, at the comic shop, I pay, I don't know, I think 12, no more than
Yeah.
14 for 100 boards. So yeah, that's
I'm so
why.
glad you said that because I've
Yeah,
got a
yeah.
comic book shop in town now, so I can go
Yes,
ask them.
if you have a comic shop, like any indie creator, if it's within like 30 minutes or whatever, or if it's like on your way to work or you're
Hmm.
going by there once or twice every couple weeks or whatever, like yeah, just buy bag and boards from a comic shop because you'll it like the one time thing you're like, oh, like okay, I'm saving like 10 to $12 or whatever, like that's good, but that's not too bad. I'd rather have it shipped to me. But if you're doing a lot of comics, like if you're
Hmm.
doing uh like basically I try to do like at least two Kickstarters a year. And with
Hmm.
each of those I'm printing like 250 to 300 comics. Um yeah, that's like basically 6 sets of bag and boards. And yeah, if I buy from the comic shop, I'm saving like over $60 doing that.
Gotcha. So that is an awesome pro tip from Brandon, everyone. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna
because
take you up on that.
yeah, because that's the thing is like whenever I start out, and that's also another thing is I try to stay up to date, but I'm not always like looking at all the other printers and looking at all the other stuff like every year to see if there's been any changes in terms of price or whatever. But yeah, when I started out, I was looking everywhere for everything, including like Gemini mailers,
Hmm.
like what you put your comics in and ship it out to people because that's what I use for the Kickstarters. Um, Still, the cheapest way for Gemini mailers I've seen is just going directly through the Gemini mailer website instead of doing a third party. Third parties seem to be a little bit more expensive, not crazy more, but yeah, it's you almost just buy them from Gemini mailers. I think I usually get the max they have is 135 count, so basically 135 pieces of cardboard. But it's very nice cardboard because it has
Hmm.
creases where it folds and it's made for comics. It's made for shipping comics. It's like the best thing to ship comics with. And like 135 count, I think is like 80 or $90, which sounds pricey. Kind of is because I'm always
Yeah.
looking for a cheaper option. But so far, for like the best protection of your books, that's the best option, and it's not too expensive. Because if you're factoring it in, it's like yeah, about 60 to 70 cents a box that you're shipping off. But if you price your Kickstarter right, if you price your reward tiers right,
Hmm.
you factor that into the price. So,
Um, since my since the first comic that I did was kind of more like a magazine size,
mm,
I had to get a special bag. I didn't get any boards. Um, I didn't find it to be that important, but I got some bags for them. and that wasn't too bad. I got like 100 off Amazon that were like magazine size. They really work as a great double as just a general bag when you're at the cons because you can just
Yeah,
start
yeah,
sticking your stickers and zines and stuff in there.
yeah.
Um, uh, Shoot, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? Um, it'll come back. It'll come back.
I got you. Well, I wanted to ask, with those magazine bags, when did you buy those?
That had to have been 2 or 3 months ago.
Oh, okay. I, the reason I was going to mention is I feel like because of DC's Black Label, like their Black Label line, like DC does this Black Label line where it's like it's kind of like their Elseworlds line they did years ago, where it's most of the books are not in continuity, but it's usually like these premium type books where it's like 3 or 4 issues, but they're in like it's magazine sized issues,
Hmm.
so it's like bigger artwork and stuff. And they've been doing that past 3 or 4 years, like pumping those out big time. I think because of those, like the magazine sized bags, as well as like the magazine size boards,
Hmm.
as well as the magazine size short boxes and long boxes. Because for a while, at least when they started out, there were no short boxes or long boxes
Yeah.
for these things. But when they started making them, all these other companies like BCW, like that's a big like bag and board company and stuff, they started making those. So the reason I mentioned that is like if it was 2 or 3, if it was like 3 or 4 years ago, it'd be really hard to find those type of bag and boards. Like you'd have to go through some specialty site. But I think now comic shops have like that stuff
Hmm.
because of Black Label and how big it was doing.
I can look right now. I
Okay.
do remember what I was going to say earlier. Um, I had bought some indie little circle stickers from Vistaprint, and really, I don't know why. Um, I was just kind of throwing stuff at a wall, trying to see if was going to be able to sell them. But I used them for what they're made for, um, and they're a nice little touch to the bag. But you just when you seal up your comic, I just put a little Envy logo sticker on the back, and it makes it look really complete.
Yeah, yeah. You're saying like on the bag, you like stick it on the bag.
Like when you fold the seam over for a comic
Oh,
book,
you
and
close it with the
mhm,
sticker.
yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, that makes it feel like I'm not saying premium, but it almost feels like oh, I have this like I'm not saying it is like official, but it's like
professional.
this package. Yeah, it feels like professionally packaged almost.
Yeah, and see, I didn't get them for that, but they work. That's what they work best for. So I'll probably continue to try and do that. I've got to go
Yeah,
to this filter. Um,
yeah, true.
I don't
Yeah,
like.
if I did, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't like how they filter your orders on Amazon by years. I just want to see all the
Oh
things
yeah,
that I bought. Just show me
yeah,
everything that I bought.
yeah. I'll say like the past month or the past 3 months or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So these bags were about $30 for 100 BCW magazine polypropylene bags.
Dang, 30 for 100. Even for magazine size bags, that sounds a
I don't.
little pricey.
I didn't. I needed some bags, and I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
the typical pricing or anything. So I was just like, yeah, those will do.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, like there's stuff that even today I'll buy not even saying it's at a premium, but I'll buy and then like a week or two later, I find out like, oh, it's actually cheaper over
Yeah.
here or whatever. Like, yeah, like that happens to me. That happens to me with like buying graphic novels sometimes.
Mhm.
Like just simply trying to read a graphic novel because yeah, there's a omnibus I have called Grayson where it's about like Dick Grayson and he becomes a super spy basically. It's a good book, but I remember buying that. I'm trying to remember. I think I couldn't find it on a lot of websites, like it was sold out or something. And the MSRP was like $100, and then I found it on eBay, and it was like $70, maybe 75. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, like it's a good deal. It was brand new, so I bought it on eBay. Then actually, it did come in. So like a week after it came in, I found out about what is it called? New trade stocks or
Mhm.
something like that. It's a graphic novel website where you can get stuff like 50% off. Like
Really?
any graphic novel you can think of is discounted. It might not be that discounted, but any graphic novel is at least like 10 to 15% off. And then I looked on there and that same book was like $50 on that site. I
Wow.
was like,
Yeah.
ah,
um I don't know. I need to look into that a lot more diligently. But in the past, like when I went to conventions, like 2015, 2016, stuff like that, I had gone to about 2 or 3 conventions by now, and I have looked at all this merchandise, this anime merchandise, and it's always seemed kind of pricey at those conventions. And like, so what I started doing is just pulling up Amazon and being like, oh, I like this keychain. Let's see if it's on Amazon. And if I find it on
yeah.
Amazon, it was typically cheaper by a lot.
Oh yeah.
And
Like
so
like
I would
I
just order it then and there and not buy it from the vendor,
It
which was
sounds
probably
bad, like when it comes to those trade shows or conventions or whatever, if you're not like an artist who's like it's one of a kind stuff that you can't get
right.
on Amazon or
Exactly.
whatever. Like that stuff is like, yeah, like it's one of a kind, whatever it's priced. But then like yeah, the trinkets or the little figures or whatever it may be, and it's not just shows, it's also comic shops, the same,
Mhm.
whatever their stuff is priced. You can go on Amazon and likely find all of that cheaper. And
Yeah.
like that's sad to say, and like it's one of those things of like support local businesses in
Right.
terms of like comic shops and stuff like that. But it's like some of us are like on a budget real hard.
Mhm.
And like there are businesses where I'm friends with the people to where it's like I'm going to support them, even
Right.
though it is cheaper on Amazon. I'm going to support them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's other times where it's like I'm sorry. Like
Mhm.
I'm going to buy pretty much all of my trade paperbacks on Amazon
Mhm.
because it's like $5 to $10 cheaper than buying it at a comic shop or buying it at a convention. Which it's sad because ultimately it is Amazon playing the long game of trying to snuff out small businesses.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know how small businesses can fight back really without. I mean, if they lower their prices, they're going to go out of business because then they're not making anything. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's I I feel for the small businesses like comic shops and stuff like that, but it's just those
Well,
Amazon prices, man.
sometimes
I'm sorry.
sometimes I will pay more or something just because I just got out of I went to go to a store and I got to get out of the house for a little bit. And you know, I had spent so many years buying stuff off of Amazon, um that like, going to somewhere that other than Walmart, you know, going to a mall or going to the comic book store that just opened up. Um, I I find I kind of gladly pay a little bit more just because I'm like, thank you for being here
Exactly.
and giving me somewhere to go,
Oh
and
yeah.
the convenience for having it right then and there, I guess plays a part.
And that's a big thing that I think is helping keep shops and other things like that around is like you can get it right there. Whereas
Mhm.
Amazon, like, yes, compared to 10 to 15 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, Amazon it'd take a week or two for your package to come in. Now it's 2 days shipping, but still, that's 2 days.
Mhm.
And if you want that thing or you want to read that thing or whatever it may be right now, you can read it right now. So
Mhm.
that is the plus side with those shops is the wanting to get it right then and there and hold it in your hands right then and there.
For sure. Um, let's see. So, uh, did you have any more updates?
Oh, this is just pertaining to some writing stuff. I'll go through these quickly. So
Okay.
I finished writing that one series I talked about, the crazy absurd one uh, that me and my buddy Tio are working
Mhm.
on. I finished all my stories on that, and then I hopped over to another series I was working on called Curbsided, and I've been working on that since March. Had to take a break in July because of the Tales from Town City Kickstarter, but got back on that and have written the rest of the stories for that. So that's done, and then I started another series. Uh, I thought I was going to go into horror after I was done with Curbside because that series and the series before that I was talking about are just comedies as well as like absurd comedies. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take a break from comedy because, in a way, I've been writing comedy for a year, a little over a year, because Tales from Town City is a comedy. Um, so I was like, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go back to horror, go back to my roots of comic making. And then as soon as I finished Curbsided, an idea happened. And I was like, crap, I guess I'm going to write comedy again.
Mhm.
And this one seems like it's going to be a bit longer, so probably next couple months I'll be writing this series. Then maybe after that,
Yeah.
finally go back to horror or go back to some other genre. But I don't know. It seems like the past year I'm really wanting to write comedy, and it likely, if I self analyze and stuff, it could possibly be like a coping thing for
Mhm.
something in life. Maybe it's just
Well,
like
maybe.
he needs some laughter. I don't know.
Or maybe it could just be your brain is wired uh when you get out of the when you're coming out of your uh comedy writing, and it's just that transition
Still
isn't
stuck
quite
in there.
there,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But for now, I'm going to hold on for the ride. If I write a comedy after this comedy I'm writing, I'm still okay with that because I'm, in my eye, when you're writing anything, when you're creating anything, you yourself, the creator, should like your work. Like you should be like, I think this is good of what I did. I don't think that's entirely a selfish thing or anything like that. It's like you're creating. I mean, this is something we should be passionate about. Like, I'm happy about what I'm creating because what I'm creating, I like. And then if
Mhm.
other people like, that's good. But I like this stuff. I'm laughing at this stuff. And then if other people like and laugh at this stuff, that's good.
Right. All right. Um well, my update is uh I'm very close to finishing my first issue. I'm probably not going to do a Kickstarter. I'm probably going to each issue I'm probably just going to print it myself. Um they're really not, if this last order is anything to go off of, they're really not that in, you know, grand of a price to have to pay. So um, I won't uh, be approaching a Kickstarter probably until I'm ready to make it a volume. And that when I do that, it's probably going to be a hardcover. It's probably going to have all the extras in it, um, and then my original issues as print and as e-comics uh, can play a part in being part of the tier rewards. Um, and then by then I will also probably have some more stickers created and maybe some zines made. My focus is though is just try and get this story, uh, get the gears turning on the story because it feels like it's happening in slow motion times 100. So, um, so I'm eager to get the story going so that people can really give me some feedback on it. Um, but issue number one is almost done. Um, my second update is that I went to the Anime Fest over this past weekend uh,
In Huntsville.
in Huntsville. Um, so this Anime Fest was put on by the same people that did the Huntsville Con in June, which was my very first convention that I went to. But it is the same structure. All the tables were laid out the same. It was in the same room, same place. Prices and everything were all the same. I think they maybe had a little bit more popular voice actors that came and appeared there. But other than that, everything was the same. Um, and when they opened the doors at 10, at about 11 and 12 o'clock, there was a peak of just this huge influx of traffic
That's
going through
awesome.
the con, and it was probably triple the amount of people that went total through that con than went through the Huntsville con back in June.
Dang.
It was insane. I did not expect a turnout like this at all.
Especially like this isn't like peak con season,
Mm-mm.
which you can't. That's the thing is like people try to measure the season, but you kind of can't because sure you could measure it for like California or the Northeast because of like the cons and stuff, but where we are, like it's not a lot of cons
Mm-hmm.
throughout the year. Like you're talking like less than 10, whereas for them it's like every weekend there's a con, even if it's a
Yeah.
tiny con. um that so yeah, that's awesome. That's interesting and awesome to see. Like it's not what people would consider peak con season because that's
Mm-hmm.
usually spring slash summertime. And then also with the June one, because I think I've looked that up before, it wasn't that like a 3 day one, wasn't like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So this was it was also a 1 day convention. And
The one back in June.
hmm
Oh, okay, okay. I
I
might be
believe,
thinking of
but
a
it was on
different
a
con.
Saturday. It was not a Sunday. So that's
And it was
another odd
bigger.
factor. Yeah.
And it was bigger on site. Wow,
Um,
that's so weird. Because you would think summertime on a Saturday
hmm
would be like golden compared
Yeah.
to like winter on a Sunday.
hmm
That's
And I'm
interesting.
in a Discord for the regional weebs, and it didn't seem like they had a whole lot of plan or hype to go to this one. Now, several of them showed up, but there wasn't like any kind of big uh, talk about going because they have
Yeah,
like channels for the big conventions and for meetups and for what they're planning on doing, you know, in the and as far as I could tell, I was the only one that like kind of posted it, said I'm going to be here, and then in the general chat, people were like, "Well, I don't think it's going to be like that super big. People keep me, y'all keep me updated. I'm thinking about staying and going. I don't really feel like it." and I'm like, "This is the target audience." I was kind of like, "Uh-oh, I
Yeah,
hope it's
yeah.
a good turnout."
Well, that's what I was worried about because like this past weekend, like I had mentioned months ago, that like my family was vacationing near there. We were vacationing in Mentone, which is
Mhm.
about an hour from Huntsville. So I had the possibility of just like, oh, that last day, get all my stuff and just go to Huntsville and do the 1 day con and then come back after. But I was a bit iffy on it
Mhm.
because like one thing is like I'm on vacation,
Yeah.
but also like with these conventions and stuff, these are usually my vacations anyway. When
Mhm.
I'm not going away somewhere, these conventions are my vacation. But still, I was just concerned and worried that one, it's more focused on anime convention. Now,
Mhm.
here's the thing: Mobile has an anime convention, and I've done it. And even though I don't really have anything anime or manga related, I did do pretty good at that. So
Mhm.
it's not a huge concern, but I don't know how it is with Huntsville. So, anime convention, and it's on a Sunday, and it's a 1 day
Mhm.
convention. Like all of this, as well as like a
Right
hundred
next to
dollars for the
Christmas.
1 day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, $100 for that 1 day. So I was a little bit worried
Mhm.
with those factors. Um, but it's good to hear that it turned out good because then, like, maybe next year, if I'm up that
Well,
way.
here's my actual story of the convention. So I was feeling
Okay,
kind of bleak here around 1:30, 2 o'clock, because I don't think I had sold but maybe one or two things with all this traffic going by.
yeah,
And it seemed like it was more or less the same for other booths around us, but I could see the crowd. It was all one big room, and then there's like a little preliminary hallway before you get into the main room. But
yeah,
I was in the main room. I saw where the voice actors were set up, and you could see the just amalgamation of crowd and people like over there at that place, and then
yeah,
closer to them were these amazing fan art uh, print tables. Closer to them, there was this print table that had like these silver plates that were very holographic in kind of a nature, very shiny and very vivid. They had very beautiful color put on them, and the artist was really good at the actual art, like the anatomy, the composition, everything looked pretty good. And then across from them was another situation, as I would describe it as the same thing, but they didn't have silver plates. It was just normal prints, but very vivid, beautiful, well composed prints. And so aside from that, out in the preliminary hall, there's also a bunch of vendors for the figures, pops, toys, all that really uh, uh, high demand anime stuff when you want to go to an anime convention. And I was just like, the weebs came here for those things. Like that's
yeah,
what
yeah,
they're here for. So I can't be like too shocked, but I was
yeah,
also
yeah,
just kind of like there was so much traffic going by and I'm not selling anything.
yeah,
But around 2 or 3 o'clock, a lot of people had made their rounds and a lot of people had stopped. Maybe some of them were kind of like, "Oh, we looked at your website." I was handing out business cards like crazy.
mm,
Um, and then some of them came back. They were like, "We looked at your stuff. We were kind of interested in buying something." So I might have sold some stickers. Uh, and then but there's this group of like three men that were they looked like they were about 40 to 55, and they made one round and they were like, "We this booth is really cool. I like what they're doing here." They were like talking at a distance, like they were like some kind of scalp like not scalpers, but they were recruiters of some, some kind of like looking to hire, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's the vibe that they gave off, the way that they would like talk amongst themselves, but they moved on. And they came back around a second time, and then they were like, "Yeah, I'm going to take a business card. Yeah, yeah, this stuff looks good." They touched the shirts, they looked at the stuff, and they're like, "Okay." And then they moved on. They came back a third time, and they're like, "This is what we're wanting you to get. Right? This is we like everything going on here." And um, so I ended up selling two media print packs, which I include a comic, a zine, a sticker, and a print. Um, and that's all just a $20 package. I sold two of those. I sold a T-shirt, which I did increase the price. Um, and then, um, so I was like, "Wow, amazing, amazing! Thank you,
all
thank you,
from
thank you."
those three.
Yeah, and then
Mm.
I had on display, I had some of my original art. I had some really quick bust sketches, inks that I did. I had a Batman and a Silk and a Peak, and they were just kind of like display really to show people like, hey, I can do this too. Like I can do a
Yeah, yeah.
commission real quick. And then I also had my original ink for the Envy cover that I did for my first comic. And they were looking at it and they were like, "Sorry, is this for sale? Are you selling it?" I was like, not really. It's kind of like a on display. Like it's kind of just to show this is what I did, and it's now on the cover. Um, because it's just black and white over here, and it's kind of crude. Um, and this is what I did to fix it up in the digital realm for the cover. And they were like, "Well, how much would it take for us if you just name a price?" I was like, "Oh, 150." And I was not thinking. I was not thinking. I feel weird saying this in case they were to watch, but um, thank you. I want to say thank you. If you do end up watching this, thank you so much. But I feel like I went too low after
Mm.
the fact.
Well, I
And
think a big thing is what are you like? What is the price that you are okay with separating yourself from this? Because
mhm,
I've had the same thought, even though I didn't do the art. Like I
mhm,
wrote down what all needs to be on the cover and stuff. With Galsman 1, 2, 3, and 4 covers, like I have those original covers. It's going to cost a penny, a pretty
mhm.
penny, to let go of those because I have that
Yeah.
attachment to them, kind of.
It's like I didn't want to name a price that would scare them, but I also didn't
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
name a price that was going to be too low.
right,
And on the spot, I don't think I said because after the fact, I thought about it, and my price range would have been closer to 300. Now, I probably
right.
should have shot out like a 400 offer and see what I got, but um, 150 is the price at which I would charge some person that I would have done a regular commission that way,
Right, right.
because that's how much time it took. So it being my original ink for my first cover that I put my initials on for them, it should have been closer to 400, probably at least.
Well,
Um,
it's not just that. It is this is like one of your first babies. Like
mhm,
a customer might not see that, but you being willing to part with it, because originally, like you said, it wasn't priced, so clearly, there's a little bit of that, like why?
yeah.
So you have to find that price that you're okay with separating it.
Mhm.
Like, yes, there's the price of the work that went in, like the typical, buy like customer buying a page type price or customer buying a cover type price, but you as the artist, if you're not like wanting to sell it right then and there, if that was not a thought, yeah, you have to factor in like myself.
Mm-hmm.
What am I willing to what's the number that I'm willing to let go of this for? So what I'm saying is like it's more than just how much I would charge for a page
Mm-hmm.
or how much I would charge for a cover if it's price. Because I don't know. I've thought about that with some of my stuff of just like, yeah.
Well, um, so I'm gonna wrap up on the convention. That was great. It was very is it even though I still feel that it was low, I'm very grateful and honored that somebody would want to spend that money on some no-name indie person. So that made me feel really good, and then it also covered the cost of the booth.
Oh yeah. Wait,
And
so did
on
they
top
buy
of
that cover?
yeah,
Oh dang. Wow.
yeah, he bought that and then like the $20 print pack, and I was
Dang, just from those three people, you covered the booth as well as made like double
yeah,
the booth cost basically just
yeah.
from those three. That's awesome.
Um, Another thing is I had made a glow in the dark sticker, and it was selling like crazy. Like out of everything that I sold, I went back on my list and it was like glow sticker, glow sticker, glow sticker, glow sticker. So just a little
What did you
tidbit.
price your sticker at?
It is a Sticker Ninja glow in the dark sticker. I got it for their very rare black market, Black Friday sale, 25% off, and they only send you 25, or a minimum of 25, um, and 25% off. They're around $53 for a pack of 25, and they're kind of big. Uh, but I priced that at $4 per sticker, um, because I can get normal Sticker Ninja stickers. Everything, all that's the same. They're just not glow in the dark, but
Mhm.
I can get 50 of them for around $50. I sell
Okay.
those for about 3.50 each.
That's pretty good. One thing in like Sticker Ninja, I haven't used them before. I'd recommend checking out Sticker Mule.
Mhm.
Like Sticker Mule has it's similar where like my stickers I do through Sticker Mule and they can be about that big or
Mhm.
whatever. And like yeah, if I did like 50, it's like usually like 45 or $50. And then like if you do like 100, it's like you're paying 40 to 50 cents a sticker. So if you do 100, you're paying like 40 to $50
Mhm.
or something. Um, or not, no, it's like 60 to $70.
Okay.
But yeah, as well as they're like good quality. Like
Yeah.
they're like pretty good quality. It's not like I'm not saying there's comic indie comic people I've really seen do this, but I'm sure it's out there. Those like rolling stickers that you would
Mhm.
see at just like a fun little like kid giveaway thing at like a
Yeah.
fair or something like
Yeah.
that. Like those are obviously like cheap quality stickers because it probably costs cheap. But yeah, from what I've seen with Sticker Mule, it's like very good quality for like cheap price. And yeah, I usually like $3. I usually do because I'm per sticker. I'm spending like 60, 70 cents, so it's
Mhm.
not a bad thing.
Yeah. I love having the stickers. They make they can be really good for extras in tiers of different promotions that you do, whether that
Yeah.
be like through Patreon or through Kickstarter. And then they're also a very nice, cheap thing that people will uh, gravitate towards when they just have $5 in their pocket.
Yeah, that's the
So,
thing. Is it's always good to have that at least one item on your table that's like fairly cheap.
hmm
Like because there's some stuff where it's like whether I have a T-shirt or some of my I'm gonna next year when I do conventions mark up my comics, um, just because like at the time it made sense, but now I've got like fluctuations of page
hmm
counts and stuff per comic, so I'm probably gonna mark up a decent bit of them. But it's also because I've seen other comic creators at conventions who have $8, $10 comic. Not saying all my comics are gonna be like $10 or something, but
hmm
probably the base price for like Tales from Town City. It's 32-page comic. I might do $5 or $6, and this is like my shorter comic, and then from there the others might be 7, $8.
Yeah.
Um, because it is one of those things where when I started out in the comic convention stuff this year, I was thinking like, oh, if my stuff's a little bit cheaper than all the other indie creators, like that'll incentivize people to want to pick it up, even if they don't really have an interest. But what I noticed is if people are interested in your stuff, if they're interested in your comic, $1 or $2 is not going to make it's not going to matter. Like ultimately, like if someone's interested in your stuff, like $6 compared to $7 or $8, like
hmm
they're going to get it. If
Yeah.
they're interested in your stuff, they're going to pay $7 or $8 for the comic. So yeah, it's one of those things where I did it to have a competitive edge at first, but then I realized like it's already compared to other comic convention stuff they can buy, like $7 or $8 isn't a lot.
Right.
Like it's not
For
like
a
they're
book
spending.
full of art in it, a book
Yeah,
full
yeah,
of content in it, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so as well as like $7 or $8, like that's what I'll be charging for like Dismay Avenue, where like
hmm
Dismay Avenue #2 is like 60 pages basically. I'll probably charge $8 for that. So yeah, it's one of those things where you learn as you go.
hmm
All of us indie creators, we learn as we go. And yeah, I started out shooting myself in the foot a little bit of like, I'll mark it down a little bit. Like I'll still make a tiny profit, teeny tiny profit. I'll mark it down a little bit to incentivize people to get it. But yeah, it's one of those things. If people see it, they're willing to pay $1 or $2 more.
Yeah. And that's something that it's weird convincing myself of, but sometimes I have to look through my own comic to be like, I did put a lot of work into all
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
um, okay, so uh, that was my experience there. A lot of people did still, like outside of those guys, a lot of people did kind of come back around the end and get some stickers and some of the comics. Um, I had uh, another fan like actually messaged me on Facebook to kind of tell me how much they enjoyed it.
that's awesome.
So that was a plus, and yeah, it was good. Um, I wanted to uh, say my next convention's coming up, the HorrorCon in Huntsville, on January 6th and 7th. Um, After that, I think I just have the WeevilCon and the Deep South Parakamicon lined up. Stan reached out to me to get some of my information, so That was after I had reached out to him. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
reach out to him and go ahead and if you want to provide like some pictures and documents and promotional stuff to him for the website, he might be willing to get you put up on there too.
Yeah, I think I might do that because so far the ones that I plan to do is like Gamers and Geeks out of Mobile. I like the stuff they do because
Hmm.
I don't know, they're and Stan and their group are very helpful, but I have seen some conventions where like they just don't value the artist at all.
Hmm.
Like
Or you're just one of a many.
exactly, like Fan Expo. Like Fan Expo ultimately like was a good time. I did decent in sales, but ultimately it was an amazing experience because
Hmm.
like it was my first convention. I got to talk to like some of my writers that I looked up to, and they got to look at my book and laugh and all that stuff. Like, so amazing experience. But that still doesn't discount like the showrunners and how they kind of treated us artists. Like yes, I do understand the reason people are there are for those big celebrities. They're there for Sam Raimi. They're there for Joseph Quinn. They're there for uh, uh, Sean Austin. Like they're there for these big celebrities as well as it costs to go
I
in.
can't believe
But
anybody's there for Sam Raimi.
but the and I'm understanding and okay with the customers doing that. My
Hmm.
issue is with like the showrunners of just like not giving us artists like any help at all,
Hmm.
even down to like, hey, you're right here in the convention hall. There's all these bathrooms back there. Those are for the celebrities. Where you go, you have to go all the way out into a hall. You got to walk half a mile to go to the bathroom.
Don't tell
Like
me
little
that
stuff
they
like
had
that really
celebrity
pissed me off.
bathrooms.
Yes, they had security guards
Oh
blocking
my
because I
god.
remember
What?
and this was even, I think this may have been like before the convention started or right when it started. I remember because you could see like the bathroom signs, like restroom or like
Hmm.
the two male and female character things. And I remember walking, and I think I used this bathroom. No, no, I didn't use it. Never mind. I remember walking because I was like, I gotta use the
Yeah.
bathroom, and I'm walking, and there's a security guard, but it's a big open space. It's like 15, 20 feet long open space of a hallway, basically. And I start walking, and the security guard's like, hey, where are you going? I'm like, to the bathroom. He's like, you can't go there. And I like showed, I
Hmm.
wasn't trying to oh, but have you seen, but
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm a vendor. Cause I assumed he was like,
Yeah.
oh, guests can't go back there.
Right.
Or like comic goers can't go. But oh, I'm a vendor. He's like, no, you can't go back there. I was like, what?
Well, so there were big name celebrities like at this
There's Sam
convention.
Raimi.
Yeah.
There were I'm trying to think of others. Like basically the whole voice cast of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Yeah, I guess that
Um,
they would have problems with safety going into a bathroom and running into crazy fans, I guess.
yeah,
But
that makes sense. But
that's
my
still
issue is
so
and I
that
wrote that series I talked about before
yeah.
that pertains to
Yeah.
convention type stuff. Um, one of the stories basically deals with this.
Mhm.
Like I made a story based off of
That's
this
funny.
experience that's very absurd and stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that comic out eventually because I love conventions, but there are with a lot of the stories they're very absurd and stuff, and I some of the stories are just me like jabbing a little at the conventions. Like yes,
Mhm.
I cranked it up to 1,000 with the absurd humor, but some of it's like yeah, this kind of is how conventions are.
Yeah.
This kind of is a sucky part of the convention. But
All right. So uh, my next update is you probably noticed that I posted the same TikTok like 3 times last week. Um, it was telling me that I couldn't get to the For You page, um, and it was telling me my content was unoriginal. It was telling me the content was okay. It wasn't saying it was unoriginal. It was saying it's either one of several of these things, and it was unoriginal, low quality, um, QR code or logo. It's too static, not enough motion in it, stuff like that. Which none of this made sense to me because I had
people
been
post
posting.
comic stuff all the time.
Yeah, I've been posting the same thing uh, for a month or two now. Each
Yeah,
page I post on a weekly basis is exact same formula.
yeah.
There's the panel, next one's the panel, next one's the panel, next one's the end, um, and with some music. And so I was like, why all of a sudden can I not get on the For You page?
Yeah.
Because I had posted that and I had like one view, no, I got 2 views, and like one of them was my girlfriend. And that was it for like 2 or 3 days. And I was like, even if I'm not like, even on like a bad video, I can get 30 or 50
Yeah,
views or
yeah.
100 views.
Maybe there
Why
was
am I?
something going on that week because I posted like the past like 5 TikToks and videos were just me going through like a published book I did when
Right.
I was 10 years old. The video I posted last week, like all the videos, I'm not expecting to get much views out of because it's just I want to put this out there. Like I rediscovered this thing recently and want to make these videos. And most of the videos got like 275 to 315 views. The last part, the conclusion part that I posted last week, zero. And I just pulled it up, still zero. To where it didn't go on anyone's page, whereas
Yeah.
the others did. But this one, the reason I mentioned this, maybe there was some sort of glitch last week because you're
Yeah.
not the only one.
Okay. Um. Well, when I looked into it, it told me that I wasn't eligible for the For You page, and that was kind of the flag to me. But at the same time, like I was saying, even in For You page or no For You page, I usually get some kind of
Yeah,
viewership. Um, so that's was weirding me out. I posted 2 or 3 times to try and see if I could change something in the formula of how I was doing it to see if it would click, but it wouldn't. I tried appealing. That does literally nothing because it's like, oh, we're just going to reevaluate the page and come up with the same conclusion. There's no
mm.
direct contact with anybody from TikTok. There's no confirmation. There's no emails. No nothing. It's just appeal and you hope for the best. I reposted that same comic like yesterday or the day before, and it got on the. There was no bars. It got about 300 views, um, and it spread a little bit. So I don't know what was going on, but yeah, it sounds like it was a TikTok problem, not a me problem.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I would advise you to repost what you
I was
posted.
gonna say today I'll probably do that because like yeah, if because it does seem like it's some sort of glitch in a way with TikTok. So maybe they resolved that. So yeah, it's my video sitting at 0 views, so it's not like anyone's gonna re-see it and be like,
Right.
oh, why am I re-seeing this? So yeah, yeah,
Well,
I'll just repost it later today.
the I put in the little description. I would kind of be like, TikTok is giving me issues. Sorry for any reposts, any issues. But the um, Comic Lab guys are like, hey, it's okay to repost things because there's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people that don't see it, and if somebody
yeah.
sees it again, they usually don't care. So,
That's true. Yeah.
I wasn't getting too worried about that. Um, and that's it for my updates.
Nice. Yeah. Now I'm
Um,
gonna exit out of TikTok. I don't want to see that zero. Which ultimately I don't care because I posted it on Facebook and
mhm.
Instagram and people liked it. I had like one or two people. I had someone because it was a 5 part thing of me just reading through this book I published when I was 10 years old. And I had someone, I wasn't expecting this or anything because this was just for myself, for my own enjoyment, because I hadn't opened this book in like 5 to 7 years. Like I
Mhm.
recently rediscovered it in my closet and wanted to make TikToks of it. And I had someone in like part 4 because it was 5 parts. Someone in part 4 was like, let me actually pull it up because I'm like, I'm happy you're this excited about it, but like, I I don't know. Hold on, let me see. Where's it at? Let me see. Okay, this person said this was really entertaining! Exclamation point. Looking forward to the next part! Exclamation point. I was like, oh, okay. Like I like ultimately the reason I did these was like for myself as well as a buddy of mine. Like we've been high school friends and stuff. I wanted him to see them as well because
Mhm.
like he's into horror and like we're just good friends. So like looking back at like weird 10-year-old Brandon writing horror is interesting. So he liked it, but yeah, I guess random people are like
Have you got?
more.
Yeah. We want more 10-year-old writing
Yeah,
right now. Which, you look at some movies and not be surprised. So, um,
yeah.
uh, Reddit's not a bad place to post either.
Hmm.
I don't know if you can post videos or stuff or anything, but uh, I got my first organic comment like 2 days ago after posting on Reddit. It was a very good comment. It was not from a bot, so I was like, "Yay!"
Yeah, yeah.
um, I post on the esoteric subreddit, the r/comics and the r/webcomics uh, threads, and the webcomics one, man, they bumped it up. They loved it. Um, it got a lot of likes. And then
That's
on
awesome.
the R comics, zero. You actually automatically start with one. So if people are like going down on it,
Oh yeah,
it'll
yeah.
go down. So it's been at zero. Um,
I
so
feel
it's
like
really
r
weird.
slash comics like I mean, I could just look it up right now. I feel like it's more users to where stuff just falls through the feed.
Hmm.
In webcomics, I feel like there's a good bit of users, but like r slash comics, just like how broad that subreddit could be,
Hmm.
like might make it to where like people's stuff is just getting lost in the feed,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, it's always good to try and post everywhere. You
Oh
want to
yeah,
be.
yeah,
Uh, it's better to be there to not be there
yeah.
in most situations.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, well, the last thing that I want to talk about will be brief, but I wanted to see if you have any format to your branding. Like, how do you brand Dismay Comics? And I'll give you some examples for me. Obviously, I really like to stay black and white. Um, I've always been more or less that way. So a lot of my promotional stuff is black and white, grayscale. Um, and then I kind of found a font that I gravitate towards. Century school book. Uh, has just is like a really good font that I think fits the vibe for everything. Um, and then uh, I try not to over art everything. I think everything is relatively like just I don't want to say minimalist because my art will actually be in things that kind of take away, but like as far as branding um, with uh, just my logo and with just information is usually kept to like one kind of background image and some lines, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought about it like because I'm thinking about like I can go into like what I do digital branding in terms of like on social medias and stuff, but like I thought about like with convention stuff. There's a lot of people, and I get it when you get like bigger, like your banner. Like people have the banner, like you'll have your name on the banner, and then you'll have like your comic or whatever, like artwork of the comic, but your name is there. And when I started out like doing comic conventions, like I'm not expecting anyone to know my name. Like
Mhm.
only like a couple hundred or a few hundred people from Kickstarter, and I'm not expecting any of them to be at this convention. So
Right.
really, no one's going to know my name. They'll, if they see on the banner, they'll see Brandon Ingram. They're probably thinking like, "Oh, the NBA basketball player? Oh, that's clearly not him." Um, but but yeah, it was one of those things where I ultimately, and it might change in the future if I work for, if I maybe work for a bigger publisher. Like
Mhm.
eventually they'll be like, hey, banner with the name. People now know your
Mhm.
comic that's coming to the convention. But currently, I kind of, if I'm at conventions, just want like the art to represent itself.
Yeah.
That's why if people go by my table, like I have a table banner, and the table banner is from Dismay Avenue number 2, where it's the little boy like
Right.
reaching through like the vortex type thing. It like catches your eyes. Like, whoa. And then behind that, I've got big gallows man retractable banner.
Mhm.
Um, so you can look at those and then be like, what's that? What's gallows man? Or
Mhm.
what's this creepy, scary thing? And you can look at that because I'm not at a point yet where people are going to see Brandon Ingram and be like, "Oh, let me check his stuff out."
Well,
I'd rather the work
yeah.
be the thing that catches someone's eye, and then I can be like, "Hey, like I created this." Obviously, like you can put two and two together and like see this
Yeah.
next to my face and be like, "Oh, he must be the creator of
Mhm.
that." Um, but yeah, currently I just let the work speak for itself, um,
Well,
as
you
well
ha
as Dismay Comics speak for itself.
right. Well, you have that's what I'm getting to. I
Yeah,
don't I don't advertise Austin Light. I advertise
right,
American
right.
Demon Comics. And so if you have your Dismay Comics umbrella, the thing about having that logo and having that this is coming from graphic artist,
Yeah,
graphic design major from university, but um, the point for that is maybe not to have people see the name and go, "Oh, I recognize it." It's for them to start building that familiarity with
yeah, yeah,
how you display yourself. That way, like if I'm doing conventions regionally, which I've already had this happen, is that people recognize um, me from a previous uh, uh, convention that they've already went
yeah,
to, they've already seen me at. So now my banner is starting to be recognizable just by the region. Um, So uh, I'm wanting to have some kind of continuity, but that continuity is also just able that mainly is just to make things more simple.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you don't want to be like, I used some kind of serif font and it kind of looked like this, but I don't know if it looked like this, and then you have like three different fonts you've used over,
yeah, yeah.
but um, and but yes, you're definitely wanting the art to be your main attraction.
But I
So.
will say with like the art for me is the main attraction, but also like getting the like if it was like American Demon, like that name out, or like in my case, like Dismay Comics, getting that name out. Like one of the things I do um, is when people back my Kickstarter, whatever Kickstarter I do, usually there's stickers with the Kickstarter and it pertains to that book. But with each Kickstarter, each package I ship out, I do include a Dismay comic sticker. That way, people become familiar with the Dismay Comics name, and as well as like I've just seen people like, I mean, stuff like that is somewhat free promotion for you. I'll see
Mhm.
people put it on their thermos or whatever that they take to work. They put it on their laptop, whatever it may be. Um, so yeah, it's one of those things where that particularly like that sticker, the Disney comic sticker, has been helpful in getting the word out about Disney comics.
Yeah, and
Now
that's
they
a
might not see the art yet. Like that's the thing I want them to see. But they see the name and then they might ask more about it. Like, oh, like Disney Comics, what's
Mhm.
that? And then the person might explain. Um,
And that's a
but
brilliant branding tactic. That's a
yeah,
brilliant
yeah.
marketing thing.
Like it's and it's one of those things where like even if it's someone that like has backed my project like 3 or 4 times, like they've backed like the past 3 or 4 projects, I still send them a Disney comic sticker because yes, by now they might have 4 or 5 Disney comic stickers. They've likely used
Mhm.
all that they can put it on, but what they then might do is be like, well, I don't need this. I have plenty of Disney comic stickers. I'll give this to a buddy. Or
Mhm.
if I'm shipping comics, because some of them are like comic YouTubers and they ship comics to people and stuff, I'll just include this sticker with their comic thing. So it then helps spread it without me even having to try to, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good thing. I might steal that. Which
Yeah.
I think was the original idea I had for having those little NB stickers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Although I didn't have anything to actually put them in with. Like I didn't have a physical product of a comic at the time that I got those. So I was like, I feel like this is a good idea for something, but
Yeah. Yeah.
for me, it wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
Um,
My issue now, the Disney comic stickers, those I can those are good. Like I can do those through putting them in Kickstarters as well as some people will buy them because it's like, ooh, like I'm gonna buy this thing. Because some people, even with American Demon, there are likely a few people out there that are like, I'm gonna invest in this early because this might
mhm,
become something. I've had a few people like mention that at conventions or whatever, where it's like I'm gonna like I like the book, but I'm also gonna get it because it looks good. And can I also get you to sign it?
mhm.
Because I'm playing a little bit of the speculative market right now.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
if you become big, boom, I've got a big
mhm.
ticket item, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. Like
Well, what
all everything we do with comics.
what with that sale that I did for my cover has made me go, well, I'm gonna start inking every cover I do,
Oh yeah,
and then probably do some of the pages on top of that because it doesn't feel like they're worth that. you know, if it doesn't feel like that in the moment that they're worth anything, but I do them in a physical form before I do them digitally, so I might put a little bit more time into inking all of them, uh, even just a little bit, just to be like, here's a $30 or $40 regular page, and then
Oh
here's like
yeah,
a $300 cover, you know.
that's definitely worth it because like as a comic art collector myself, like yeah, like and also if you do that, like you are playing into like my market of like people who collect comic art and stuff, as well as digital art. Like 90%, if not more, of comic artists do strictly
Mhm.
just digital. To where you have like that 10% that still do a little bit of traditional, and like people like me eat that up. And already you're making money on your comic, and then if like someone commissioned you to do a book, you're making money on that, but you still own the original art, so you can also sell that original art. So it's just
Mhm.
another profit outlet for you,
Yeah.
is that original art. And especially like you had mentioned, if pages were like 30 or $40, like people will eat that up. I was at, like, I usually buy like Marvel or DC or Image type comic art.
Mhm.
But I was at a convention recently. It wasn't even a convention. It was a Cthulhu Con, where it was like it was a short film festival,
Mhm.
all pertaining to horror and like H.P. Lovecraft type stuff. And someone there was a comic artist. They like wrote a comic and stuff. It's called Matilda versus something. I've got postcards and stuff of it, and it looked interesting. But I was flipping through. He had like original art, and some of it was like commission type stuff, like him drawing Spider Man and stuff like that. I flip through and I see like his original comic art, like the comic that is sitting on the table. I see the original
Mhm.
art, and it's an indie comic. I personally hadn't heard of it before, but I see that original comic art. Then I asked him the price of that art, and he said $20 a page. I'm like, yeah, like 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 of course, like I collect
Yeah.
original comic art. Like even if this person doesn't
Batman got
become
gypped.
anything.
You got a deal.
Well, that's the thing, is like I wasn't even playing in like the speculative market, because when I buy Marvel and DC stuff, ultimately I buy it for myself, but it is kind of like an investment where it's like
Right.
10 years from now I know this is going to be double, if not more.
Mhm.
With his, like, it might not be like $100 or $200 page like 10 years from now, but it's like $20 for original comic art. Like, yeah, and I mentioned that because even like $30, $40 for original comic art, original page, like it's like, yeah, like that's nothing.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I'll buy that. Like, so yeah, I mentioned all that to say, like, good extra uh, profit avenue there if you do go that way.
For sure. Like I said, I did have some practice kind of. I want to be able to like do some commissions, like simple headshot bust shots, kind of shoulder up stuff really quickly. So like if somebody asks for something in a convention, I'll be able to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
do it. I had done some practice ones, and one of them was Peak from Attack on Titan, and I love that one. Like I kind of put a little bit of my heart into that one, but I had Peak, Batman, and Silk um, that I've done, and they're all $25, and they were all about an hour to make, I would say. Um, and somebody bought the Peak, and I was
Nice. Yeah, but for you, it's like, oh, that's the one you either put the most time in, or it's the one you cared about the most. It's like,
and I
oh,
guess people can see it too,
yeah,
so they'll get those. But yeah, you know, um, even little sketches and stuff, or like little um, if I draw something in a sketchbook and it's like a kind of a little card kind of size, I'll probably start cutting those out and selling those.
Yeah.
But yeah, original art is really good to. Apparently, it goes. I had.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just one of those things where it's becoming more and more scarce within
Hmm.
the comic world, to where it's like those that do collect comic art, it's not as big as like comic collectors. Like there's a lot more comic collectors than comic art collectors, but the comic art collectors like are just like hungry for that
Hmm.
type of stuff because there's not a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, that'll be an investment of my time in the future, uh, especially if it covers my booth costs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, Brandon. I think I'm going to wrap it up. Do you have anything else you want to mention?
I think the last thing I'll mention is these Tales from Town. Say by the time you're listening to this, digital rewards have been sent out. Um, the these will be shipped likely. Like I'm going box and everything. I still got to finish bagging and boarding, but box them all up from now till New Year's Eve, and then probably like that first week of the new year. That's probably when I'll start shipping everything.
All right, Brandon. Sounds good. Um, my comic issue. My deadline for me is to have it done by the HorrorCon so that I have it there at the HorrorCon to be able to promote. So, uh, with that, I am Austin Light with American Demon Comics. You can go to AmericanDemonComics.com, and this is my buddy Brandon Egram, also an indie creator with Dismay Comics, and you can find him on Instagram and Facebook. I'll catch you next time, Brandon.
Take care.